When it comes to powering custom trucks, all you hear is LS this and LS that. But the real question is, what are their benefits and how do you maximize their performance? Well, follow along as we discuss all of that in this video. Well, hello my friends. As I stated, I want to do a deep dive into LS swaps and how you can get the most out of them. Also, why they are still a top choice for truck builders. Well, I trekked out all the way to Gilbert, Arizona to Big Ten Garage as I want to discuss this topic with Jason Bowman, as you do a lot of LS swaps in some of the projects here and everything. I want to know, with all the V8 options out there, you know, small block, big block, LS, and even LT, the newer engine, is LS still the dominant engine to put in a swap for these old trucks?
Yeah, so for me, the LS platform is still the engine to use because it's just so versatile, right? So there's so many options out there for it. The cam options are endless, the dress-up options, the fact that they don't leak, right? You got modern gaskets in them. Just the options are endless with these things. So definitely still the platform to use.
Well, with that being said, I want to know a little bit more about cost and what you are doing, and are you using Junkyard LS, salvaged LS, and then maybe rebuilding them, crate engines? How's your approach to them?
So we used to use the salvage yard engines, and that was a long time ago. Now we only use crate stuff because typically there's a 3-year, 50,000-mile warranty that comes in a GM crate engine. So with that, there's obviously the reliability in that, so you know in that peace of mind. The salvage yard engines, it's like a time bomb, right? You don't know what's in there.
Yeah,
you don't know what you're gonna get. And in having something new, you know exactly what you have. So for us here, it's always new, and that's why we're gonna keep it.
My other question on that token is, let's say somebody that is not a customer of your shop is looking to get into something. They want to get some power, reliability, and you know, maybe they've got some budget. Could a Junkyard engine be a good solution for them?
Yeah, so I mean, a Junkyard engine will fit in somebody's, if you only have a certain amount of money to play with, yes. I mean, everybody obviously has some sort of budget, right? You just have to go into it knowing what you're looking for. Like, you want to take some tools with you, maybe pull a valve cover, rotate the engine over a couple of times, make sure it's not locked up. Just kind of get a general idea of this thing's not full of water, or it hasn't been upside down for a long time, or it just hasn't been abused its whole life. You know, the oil's been kept up on it. You can tell by coloring inside it, right? So like if it's got a nice kind of goldish color inside, good to go. If it's all black and sludgy, obviously it's a junk motor. So yeah, just use common sense. And in a budget build like that, a salvage yard engine, no problems at all.
All right, with that being said, what are some of the common mistakes that you see with LS swaps, and how do you troubleshoot any of that?
So a lot of the times with LS swaps, you'll find that somebody has just kind of spaghettied the wiring, thrown it in there, either mounted a bunch of just like the computer's in a bad spot, the MAF's in a bad spot, and then just general not knowing how an LS functions, right? So you get a lot of times the guys will cheap out and they'll use like O'Reilly sensors and things, right? Mm-hmm. So like troubleshooting somebody else's swap that's come in here before, for example, everything's brand new. You're trying to crank a thing over, trying to start it. Well, I got no RPM signal. So you go to the sensor. Well, everything's brand new. So usually the culprit is going to be the crank sensor signal, because if you use a cheap one, it just doesn't pick up. I don't know what they've done or whatever, but if you use a GM one, typically it works every time. So a lot of non-factory sensors are a big issue. We don't do it in our shop. Everything's factory sensors, but that's kind of probably the most common mistake you'll see.
So when you're putting these engines in older vehicles, obviously they're foreign to the vehicle. How are you fueling them? What is your best solution? Is it a brand new tank with everything, or can you find is an inline fuel pump a good solution as well?
Yeah, so real good question actually. So fuel system is a big key for these things. So we're in Arizona, so fuel pumps on the frame rail, no good. you're going to smoke 3 or 4 of them through the summertime. Yeah, just because they get so hot, we get so much road heat. You know, like 140, 150 degrees coming off the road. So you're just cooking that fuel pump.
And then amplify that with whatever the road is and
everything.
and all that stuff.
And you're trying to just hump that that hot fuel through there, and you're just cooking that poor pump. So our solution is just put it in the tank. So Boyd, actually for C10s, and they make quite a few others. Boyd Welding makes tanks for that are fuel vehicle specific that have the pump inside, and they work amazing. So and that's like most builds that we do will get that style tank. Now square bodies are cool because square bodies have a tank on the side, and Holley makes this super cool like drop-in fuel pump system.
Awesome. Yeah, can't get any better than that. I guess.
Super easy.
I know we brushed on it a little bit, but let's go a little bit more in depth on engine management and what you see is the best solution for everybody.
Yeah. So for us in my shop, I'm a big fan of GM. So my theory behind it is GM has invested so much money into these computers. So, and there's just millions of their vehicles and computer systems out there. So from the E38 to the E67, the E40, the 0411, all the different PCMs that they make for these LS engines, just in under, I guess under, there's a threshold, right? So 1,000 horsepower, maybe 1,200 and under, we always stick with anything GM management because it's just, it works. They're very tunable. They'll start every day, and there's no fumbling around. Now there's, in the race applications, you've got your Motex, your ECU Masters, and you have a bunch of other stuff, and all that allows you to do other things in racing applications. So like even like the Holley Dominator or Terminator stuff. So, but for 9 times out of 10, factory computers every time. They're very tunable. HP tuners, you can get in there and dial everything in. Like you can change firing orders with HP tuners. You can change every parameter about what's inside that computer. You can change.
So is that that plugs into the OBD2, and then from there you can just adjust everything from there?
Yep, exactly. Yeah, awesome.
All right, we talked about performing the swap a bit and getting it wired, fueled, all that other stuff. Let's talk about feeding it air, which is very important, as well as the exhaust and what you're using for swaps.
Yeah. So everything that we do is obviously comes in a custom package that we kind of incorporate. So our intakes are mostly going to be all 4-inch stuff. They're going to be card style MAF in them because it's more, everything we do is kind of an LS3 based, more modern style. So even if we're putting a supercharger on it, we're building some sort of intake tube, 4-inch intake tube for it. And as far as the exhaust stuff goes, almost everything that leaves my shop has a MagnaFlow set of mufflers on it, and then we build stainless steel, all mandrel bent, TIG welded, back purged, just art pieces for exhaust systems.
Okay, building on top of that, if somebody wants more power with an LS, what would you suggest for a power adder?
So your more budget-friendly stuff would be like a cam. So if you take a stock LS and you throw a cam in it, you're 40, 50 horsepower. Set of long tube headers, a good built exhaust, and then obviously your intake tube and an intake manifold. So LSs inherently make really good power. They want to get air in and they want to get it out as fast as they can. So all of those, your intake, your exhaust, your cam, and your intake manifold, all of that's going to help get it in, get it out, get it burnt, and get it out as fast as it can. So that's just going to make more power in the end.
Gotcha. What type of numbers are we talking about with a package like that?
So on a LS3 with the cam that we use, I've seen 440 to the rear tires.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
well, that's
pretty good.
Yeah,
like it's
exactly.
Yeah, to the tires.
bolt-ons,
yeah, through a 4060 with a 28-inch tall tire in the back, in a Blazer.
Wow.
Awesome numbers.
Wow, that's amazing. So let's say you've done the swap, you've done all these parts, you want to go a little bit further. Forced induction is probably, I guess, the best way to get a little bit more out of that. My question for you is, I see that you do a lot of superchargers, but what about doing a turbocharger? Is that any benefit to that, or is just supercharger more reliable? I don't know, you tell me.
So I'm a big fan of both. Like both of them have their joyous moments. So a turbo. So turbos is free power. You have the initial cost up front, of course, but I say free power because it doesn't, it just uses waste exhaust gas to make more power.
Exactly.
So we're driving the turbine, which drives the compressor, and then we're compressing all this air. But in order to get there, the turbo takes more money to get there up front, if that makes sense, because it's not, I mean, they do have packages that you can bolt on.
Yeah, most of the time it's a lot of fab.
Yeah, there's more fab on top of it. So, you know, just putting the turbocharger on there is one step, and then building the hot side and the cold side, and now we got to put a heat exchanger, intercooler on it, or a heat exchanger if you're doing air to water. And then it's just build on top of all of that. So, but the end result is you get the cool sounds, right?
Yeah,
you get just the whistles and the blow off and all the stuff, and you just the feeling when a turbo comes in and finally lights is like, it just puts you back in your seat. It's like a two-stroke, right?
You're like, there's an extra boost that I got.
There it is. Oh my goodness, it's so much fun. But the other side of that is the cleanliness of a supercharger. So like a Magnuson kit, like the truck behind us here has a Magnuson TVS 2300 on it. It makes like 650 horsepower to the tires. It makes 7 pounds of boost, and it makes it at 2,000 RPM. So you're tipping your toe into the throttle, and this thing is trying to tear the back tires off of it, because it essentially, you're kind of making your LS platform sort of like a big block on nitrous, you know what I mean? So it just has this crazy low end grunt, and it just wants to put the power to the ground, and 9 times out of 10 the tires aren't going to handle it.
So another question I have is, with these swaps, I hear a lot of issues with transmissions. What do you prefer when it comes to that? You know, I know power is going to also dictate that as well.
Yep.
So, you know, run me through what are some of the popular things you like to use?
So for me, transmission wise, I am a 4L80 guy, never a 4L60 guy, because like, I don't want the problems. You can build a 4L60. I know there's guys out there that say they can build a 1,000 horsepower capable 4L60, and that's probably true. Never in my experience. But you know, 4L80 for me, it's just a bulletproof transmission. But with all the modern drivetrains, all the modern computers, LS3, the 4L60 is kind of our go-to. Really don't need to do I'm 4L60. 6L80, strike that, reverse it.
6-speed.
Yeah, 6-speed. 6L80 and maybe a 6L90 every now and again, but it's really not needed.
Gotcha.
Yeah, a lot of the guys don't like the 6L80s because they're kind of tricky to tune. But if you have a good tuner like I do, really doesn't matter. So yeah, I mean, obviously your other option for transmission would be like a TR6060 or a Magnum 6-speed, which are my favorites.
Yes.
But you know, I like rowing some gears.
Yeah. Well, and that's great for the application if you want to do that. But I think a lot of people like cruising and stuff like that. So
yeah,
just
easy cruising.
You know,
yep.
A 4L80, like you were saying, and just going forward with that.
Yeah.
So I'm fairly familiar with your builds and your swaps. I've seen them a bunch, and I have noticed one thing is that a lot of times you do, you give them a retro look. You put maybe some vintage small block valve covers on them, and this probably is a little bit to work around. And how do you make that happen?
So there's a lot of people a lot of companies already that are making a bunch of small block valve cover adapters, big block adapters. They actually do some 409 stuff. So that you can, I've even seen Ford valve covers on these things.
So you can drop one in an F100 and nobody would think anything of
it. Made Ford tough with Chevy stuff. So,
and I really love the look. It just cleans up the engine bay quite a bit. You have less wiring and everything because you got coil packs. You relocate them, right?
Yep.
Where do you relocate them to?
So it kind of depends on the build, really. The one behind us, the coil packs are in the frame, down by your feet. A lot of them will put behind the heads. I've even gone as far, like years ago before Low Car made it, I made a fake distributor. And built a mount
really
for
fool
it.
everybody.
Yeah, so literally I built a truck and I even hung a fuel pump on the side of it. It had a 4-barrel throttle body on it, had the old school air cleaner, the distributor on it, and people would walk by it because it literally looked like a small block, and you just, like, it's just another small block, and then you took another look and you're like, oh no, something's wrong with that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then you fire up and go, and
Yeah,
they really turn their heads.
Yeah, and there's not a puddle of oil underneath it, or it's not smoking out the back, and I didn't have to pump it 12 times to get the thing to start. So, sorry, small blocks.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
They're trusted, they're reliable, but they got some oil leaks, so they do have their flaws.
1958's technology, or the 50s technology. Let's move on.
Exactly. I did discuss this in another video before about fully built small block versus an LS, Junkyard LS. You can check that by hitting a link in the description below. Well, you got a shop, you build a lot. I noticed some trucks behind us. Can we go for a test drive and see what your work actually amounts to?
Of course, let's go do it.
Give it a real test.
Let's go.
All right, so what year is this truck?
This truck is a 70.
Nice.
Yeah, 70 C10.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And you've done all the works on it. It's got, what LS does it have in it?
This is an LS3 with a 6L80 transmission.
Gotcha.
We did a pretty good sized cam in it. So it's a 231, 239 on a 114, if I remember right, cam. Not really a blower cam, but they seem to work really well with blowers.
It's supercharged too, right?
Yes, sir. It is supercharged. It's got a TVS 2300 Magnuson on it.
Whew.
Yeah.
All right. So, what are your power numbers on this thing?
This truck made 650 to the tires, and
That's a lot.
I can't remember the torque number. It makes right around the same for torque too. 373 gears in it with an Eaton True Track and a stock 12-bolt axle.
All right, let's see what this thing can do. Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
No effort at all. Wow. What'd you say? Over 600 horsepower, you said?
Makes 600
oh man.
Tires, yeah.
Woo! That got my heart beating, dude. Oh man.
It is a straight ripper.
Wow.
Yeah. You see what I'm talking about with how low the power. Like if I just roll into here and then.
Yeah. Oh, it's sliding and everything. Oh man. Wow.
Yeah.
And like no problem stopping either.
Oh no.
You've got Whitwood brakes on here, right?
Yep.
What size are they?
These are 14-inch brakes, front and rear, 6-piston fronts and 4-piston rears.
And probably pretty much a must when we're on this truck.
Yeah, but as much as you want to go, you have to be able to whoa.
Well, Jason, I have to thank you for not only answering some of the questions I had about LS swaps and all of that, but also letting me join you while you rip on this truck. I had an absolute blast, so got to thank you for all of that, and I hope I answered all your questions about anything with LS swaps. Well, that just about does it for this video, and we thank you for watching it. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a future video, and we will catch you next time.